In Venezuela, the Supreme Court of Justice has requested the National Electoral Council to report the tally sheets of the polling stations corresponding to the presidential elections of July 28th. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces continue their genocidal war in Gaza. Over 39,500 civilians have been killed since October 2023. Several countries around the world continue to be affected by the increasingly noticeable effects of climate change. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Venezuela, the Supreme Court of Justice has requested the National Electoral Council to record the tally sheets of the polling stations corresponding to the presidential elections of July 28th. The authority emphasized that the tally sheets must be delivered within 3 days, together with the definite totalization, the awarding certificate, and the proclamation certificate of the electoral process. Likewise, the Supreme Court emphasized that with respect to the claim made about a cybernetic attack against the computer system of the highest Venezuelan electoral body, the evidence of the fact must be delivered. It should be noted that after the electoral process of last July 28th, the Venezuelan far-right ignored the results, generating media campaigns discrediting the electoral system of the country and its transparency. In Venezuela, the re-elected President Nicolás Maduro announced that the Venezuelan far-right will try to carry out a terrorist act in mobilization that are due to take place on Saturday in an attempt to destabilize the country. In an official press briefing at the Miraflores Palace, the president asserted that the disqualified political far-right leader, Maria Corina Machado, plans to make a coup d'etat against the welfare of the people. In this sense, the Venezuelan head of state further denounced that during the latest brutal protests of this week by the violent assailants, many schools, universities, and hospitals were seriously affected. Likewise, the re-elected president affirmed that he has already prepared the intelligence commands and military troops to counteract Saturday's attack by the Venezuelan far-right, leveraging massive rallies for supporting the government. The head of the Venezuela Nuestra campaign command, Jorge Rodriguez, denounced the fake tally sheets forged by the far-right to claim fraud and disregard the election results. Rodriguez presented evidence of the opposition's plans for the days earlier, the July 28th election, which included dismissing the official electoral results. The head further explained that the information was published on a website created by the far-right, whose domains were acquired prior to the election day, demonstrating the premeditation of the most radical far-right opposition sector. Likewise, Rodriguez assured that 9,468 alleged tally sheets of the more than 36,000 polling stations are equivalent to 30% and not 70%, as they had granted. The foreign minister of Venezuela, Iván Gil, reaffirmed that the U.S. government is seeking to promote a coup d'etat in the country. The foreign minister on his social media X expressed the following: "With this new false step, the U.S. shows that it has put itself at the forefront of the attempted coup d'etat in Venezuela. We defeated them in the electoral field and we will defeat them in this coup and fascist adventure. Peace will triumph and the lackeys will not return. Guaido 2.0 is the same as failure 2.0. Also in Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro affirmed that the coup d'etat plot that the Venezuelan and international far-right intended to carry out in the country has been dismantled. During a meeting with the women's movement of the homeland, the head of state thanked them for their commitment and love for the homeland. President Maduro also denounced that the groups financed by the Venezuelan international far-right to destabilize the country were neutralized. Isabel Celila Gil, leader of the state of Bolívar, was one of the victims of this violence that for years extremism has used against the people and the government. President Maduro assured that all those responsible will pay for the crimes committed and asked Venezuelan women to strongly support the banners of peace.
La mujer venezolana tiene que ser la primera.
Venezuelan women have to be the first to condemn the Guarimbas uprising's criminal violence. They have to be the first to raise awareness in their homes, in their communities, because Venezuelan women take the lead in Venezuelan society, so you have to, as the great movement that you are, create the great movement of the national public opinion, so that fascists, criminals, those people who want to impose hate, revenge, and who hired thousands of criminals to attack hospitals, cutting edge healthcare centers, schools, universities, who destroyed over 250 police centers, sabotaged subway stations, they burned down buses, municipalities, they knocked down statues of Bolivar, of José Gregorio Hernández, of the Indian Coromoto, of our commander Chavez. All those who knocked down the statues are already in jail, all of them. The Venezuelan woman must be the first to raise with that tricolor flag, to raise the flag of peace, of coexistence, of love, of life.
President Nicolás Maduro reported the dismantling of a cybernetic and criminal coup d'etat aimed at undermining the country's electoral process.
We have dismantled and prevented a cybernetic and criminal coup d'état. These are the two characteristics: a coup d'état that tried to stain and overshadow the electoral process, led from the United States of America. I am very pleased that the government of the United States has come out again, to take off its mask and to say that they have a new Guaidó in Venezuela. Will you accept a new Guaidó in Venezuela? This Mr. González Urrutia, who thinks and gives such an ugly opinion of the Venezuelan woman, so sexist and misogynist, fascist and racist. So I ask, will Venezuelan women accept a new Guaidó? Are we going to accept that they impose a scenario of destabilization and violence? Or are we going to fight for peace and that the Constitution and democratic institutions are respected?
On Friday, President of Colombia, Gustavo Petro, announced he will make changes to the National Land Agency to gain greater autonomy and boost the agrarian reform. Petro assured so by the time he was launching Mission Antioquia, whose goal is to achieve the progress of the agrarian reform in the region. From the Zaragoza municipality, the president proposed to declare the fertile land areas as public utility districts so that the productive land be granted to farmers. The head of state described as a crime against humanity to have fertile land and not produce. Those the leader ensured he will seek alternatives. He further referred to those who prevent the fulfillment of unstoppable objectives.
The National Land Agency has to be fully made up of farmers' sons and daughters from all regions of Colombia, because we do not purchase more lands, because it is difficult to buy lands from the one who bids those lands. As the National Land Agency is full of followers of former presidents Uribe and Duque, so they make it difficult for us to buy lands.
Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces have killed more than 39,500 civilians in the Gaza Strip since October 2023. The Palestinian Health Ministry reported at least 31 civilians killed during the last 24 hours, while 62 others were wounded. Since the start of Israel's genocidal operation in Gaza, a total of 39,550 people have been killed and 91,280 have been injured. In addition to the dead and wounded, at least 10,000 people are missing, presumed dead under the rubble of their homes. Israel has continued its offensive in Gaza, ignoring the International Court of Justice order to halt its military offensive in Palestine in a legally binding decision. And the Israeli occupation forces blocked access to a group of Palestinian communities north of occupied Ramallah city. They closed the entrances to the city of Sinjil as well as in the neighboring villages, where they denied villagers access to their homes. Tel Aviv restricts Gazans' freedom of movement through at least 100 fixed checkpoints, mobile checkpoints, settler-only roads, and various physical obstacles. Haitham Balidi, leader of the Al-Qassam brigades of Tulkarm, the military wing of Hamas, was assassinated on Saturday. An Israeli drone hit the vehicle in which he was traveling along with 5 other people. Except for the leader of the armed brigades, the other 4 crew members have not been identified. The occupying forces claim that they are dealing with a terrorist cell. The events occurred nearby West Bank, where according to Israeli reports they were heading to plan attacks against their security front. And the United States, Israel's main accomplice in its genocidal operation in Gaza, will reinforce its military presence to support the occupation. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin assured that they will send a squadron of fighter planes and maintain an aircraft carrier in the region. The purpose of the deployment is to support the Zionist government in the face of a possible attack from Iran. The Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei vowed to avenge the death of the leader of the Palestinian resistance executed by Zionist troops in Tehran. The Pentagon has also sent more cruisers and destroyers to the Middle East. Hezbollah assured on Saturday that it will respond proportionally to Washington's troop deployments. And in the United States, the Vice President Kamala Harris secured the presidential nomination of the Democratic Party. Without any rival in the Democratic Party's internal race, Kamala Harris won the virtual vote of the party's National Committee. In this respect, Harris thanked her Democratic colleagues for the votes obtained. It's worth mentioning that almost 4,000 delegates have participated in the vote, which will conclude on August 5th. 1,976 votes were needed for her candidacy. In this sense, the candidate will be profiled as the rival of the Republican Donald Trump in the elections of the North American country, which will take place next November 5th. Moving on, in Russia, the air defense forces intercepted and destroyed 75 Ukrainian drones over 7 regions of the country and in the Sea of Azov. The Russian Defense Ministry reported that 36 drones were intercepted over the Rostov region, 8 over Kursk, 9 over Belgorod, 17 over Orel, as well as 1 in each over Voronezh and the Sea of Azov and the Krasnodar region. Defense authorities detailed that this is within the framework of operations of the Russian troops, in which they repelled an attempted massive attack by Ukrainian UAVs against facilities within the Russian Federation. The Russian provinces bordering Ukraine regularly report missile strikes, drone incursions, and other attacks from across the border. We have a functional break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean as well as the rest of the world. Functional break, don't go away. Welcome back. In Chile, at least 3 people died and 6 were injured due to gust and rainstorms that hit the country. Authorities say that the rains left widespread damage in much of the territory, with fires, falling trees, floods, and even the interruption of flights at the airport of Santiago de Chile. In this regard, they noted that this intense frontal system has left more than 1 million homes without power supply during the last hours. Meteorological authorities warn that wind gusts are reaching 127 kilometers per hour. And in Brazil, the Amazon rainforest has witnessed a dramatic surge in wildfires within the last month, with approximately 2,600 fires reported. marking the highest number for this month in nearly 2 decades, representing a 40% rise compared to the June 2024. The escalation of fire is largely attributed to severe drought conditions, which have been intensified by climate change and the ongoing El Niño weather pattern leading to drier weather across the region. The situation has raised concerns among environmentalists and government officials regarding the effectiveness of current firefighting resources and strategies, particularly in light of budget cuts that have affected firefighting capabilities. In the United States, authorities report that several cities are on heat alerts due to rising temperatures. Heat alerts are in effect in cities such as Boston, New York, and Dallas, where northwest Texas, southern Arkansas, and western Mississippi will reach up to 46 degrees Celsius. Authorities warn that more than 100 million people are at risk of heat stroke due to the heat wave. Weather forecasters expect high temperatures to begin to drop by this weekend, with the possibility of another round of heat. On the other hand, in China, authorities have raised emergency responses to the second highest level of flooding in Yunnan province. The National Disaster Reduction Commission reported that the heavy rains have affected more than 1.2 million residents in the area. At least 30 people died in Xixin City, while 35 others are missing as a result of the impact of Typhoon Gaemi. Meanwhile, governmental departments will send basic supplies to the people affected by the weather disasters. In other news, this out that the Communist Party of Vietnam appointed President To Lam as the country's top leader following the death 2 weeks ago of his predecessor, Nguyen Phu Trong. The presidency of the Communist Party is the most powerful post in this Asian nation, and although the country's president had already taken over the interim leadership, his appointment has been unanimously formalized in a vote by members of the party's Central Committee in Hanoi. During his speech, To Lam stated that he will inherit and promote the revolutionary achievements built by his predecessors. He also pledged solidarity and unity to firmly lead the nation towards development in a new time. The Festival of Flowers is inaugurated in Medellin, Colombia, with an extensive program of more than 100 activities until August 11th. This cultural event, considered one of the most important in the country, will feature the traditional National Trova Festival of the city of Medellin, now in its 20th edition, as well as several novelties in different formats, such as the parade of floats and troops that will pay tribute to the musical genres of salsa, vallenato, and other popular and urban genres. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.